Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Keller.
It is a rainy, chilly Monday in southern Middle Tennessee, mid-November edition of The Shasteen Show. But I'll tell you where it's warm, toasty, and crowded. That's London's on Monday night. Great crowd here tonight. Still room for you to come down, though. Best burger in town, steak. Well, you've seen the steak. You know how good that looks. Cold beer. It's a great night to be at London's. We got a great crowd. Welcome into this edition of The Shasteen Show. Ken Keller, Scott Shasteen for the next hour. We're going to talk sports, and yeah, most of it's going to be football because, Ken, we had a great football weekend. I don't care who you're a fan of around here. The Cats, the Tide, the Vols, the Cowboys, the Titans. It was a winning weekend.
The Cleveland Browns.
It was
the Buffalo Bills. I mean, when's the last time, all those teams won in the same week? Think about it. The Titans, the Vols, the Buffalo Bills, and the Cleveland Browns, and the Dallas Cowboys. All those 5 teams in the same weekend.
And the Wildcats.
Add them in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's been a while.
It is. It has been a while.
Since they all won.
Yeah, on the same weekend. It sure has. I mean, somebody needs to research that. Might be a first.
So congratulations to the Tullahoma Wildcats for advancing to the 3rd round of the playoffs for only the 4th time in school history. Tullahoma beats Marshall County 16-14. Ken, what a game.
Oh, great game. Great defensive battle. Very much like the first contest down in Lewisburg in Game 3 of the regular season.
Except that Tullahoma was able to do it without Kobe Burks and, for the most part, without Bryson Korn. That may be the most amazing thing. I mean, anybody that's watched the Wildcats all season knows that those 2 guys have been just outstanding playmakers. And to beat Marshall County in the playoffs without either one of them, basically, Bryson gave it a go early, but without either one of them, I mean, it's just amazing. Yeah,
it is amazing. And, they did a really good job, Scott, in that game of making Marshall County one-dimensional. We talked about that in the pregame. They needed to shut down that running game with Rucker and Malik Thompson at quarterback. They relatively did a very good job on that, forced Thompson, the quarterback, to go there. He was only 2 for 7 in the game and made a very critical mistake towards the end.
And, I talked about this guy last week a little bit and talked about how he hadn't been named the player of the game all season, even though he may have been the Wildcats' most consistent player. Wow, I tell you what, he maybe he was listening, maybe he heard about it, maybe he decided, I'm going to get me one of those player of the game things, because Ty Cox was just phenomenal. I mean, he was everywhere, scored a touchdown, credit for the sack on the safety that proved to be the game winner, just made tackles all over the field. He was phenomenal.
Oh, an absolute menace, from that defensive end position. I don't know how many tackles for loss that Ty Cox had, but he had a bunch of them. And, so he was spectacular. He was a weapon in that game in more ways than one, and just what a great game by 52. And it's, fitting that as Tullahoma wins their 10th game of the season, Ty Cox wins his first, I think, player of the game of the season. But he's been consistent all year long. He had a tremendous ball game. And, 3rd and 9 with just a few minutes left in that game, he's rushing the quarterback who rolled out to his right. There was nothing else for him to do. He was either going to get crunched in the end zone or throw the ball to the track. So I think he picked the safe way out. He was going to get to safety either way. And that play won the ball game for the Wildcats.
Yeah, and there were multiple plays where Ty almost got to the quarterback. He just had a phenomenal game, and congratulations to him for being named the Giles Dunn Diamond Company Player of the Game. Well-deserved. So the Wildcats get what they wanted, a rematch with Maplewood.
Yeah, and they had a great game from the quarterback. Ben Fulton in this game, his completion percentage was high. He made some key throws, and that long bomb that he threw down the middle, I believe this was a game with the long bomb, wasn't it? About 40 yards down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And just a beautiful pass. You'll have to see it on replay on LightTube as it shows maybe tonight. I'm not sure after the Shasteen Show, 7 o'clock. But, just a tremendous effort by the Wildcats. Congratulations to Coach John Olive and the Cats for a great win, a great defensive battle, but they made enough offensive plays. And kudos to the two running backs that replaced Bryson Corn. He goes out like the first or second series of the game. Cats also playing without Kobe Burks, arguably the two best players on the entire team. Kobe Burks and Bryson Corn, two great leaders on this team that offer so much. One a team captain, one that plays multiple positions in 3 phases of the game. And Brian Nelms and Samari Lane running the football. Hey, they did a great job, and they complemented each other well because their running styles are so different.
Brian Nelms was Mr. Consistent. He allowed Tullahoma to control the tempo of the game, to control the ball. Brian's not a spectacular, flashy runner. He's just very solid, reeled off some big gains. And then in the fourth quarter, when Tullahoma desperately needed to make a couple of first downs to really run that clock down and pin Marshall County back in their own territory, which led to the safety, which was the game winner, Samari Lane came in and gave them that. The Wildcats have got a bunch of options now at running back Friday night against Maplewood, and it looks like I'm going to need them, Ken, because I got a feeling that field is going to be some kind of mess.
Sloppy. I watched the replay the other day, and my wife saw it for the first time, and we're looking at the middle of that field and that standing water. She says, that field looks terrible. I said it was. It just doesn't drain like Tullahoma. This is not upkept like Tullahoma's. One of the top fields in the state, Tullahoma at Wilkins Stadium. But you go to Maplewood, and we're supposed to get rain most of this week. It's going to be the conditions much like the last time we went there, where Maplewood held us to only 6 points on offense.
And the last time we went there, it was Bobo Hodges in that Maplewood passing game that really hurt the Wildcats. He completed 14 of 31 passes for 160 yards and a touchdown. Maplewood only ran the ball for limited yardage, 99 yards on the night. So Tullahoma's defense did the job in stopping Maplewood rusher Sutherland and Beals. We stopped those guys or contained those guys. It was Bobo Hodges that got the passes away when they needed it the most and made the biggest difference. And again, that secondary is going to be put to the test for Tullahoma.
Yeah, a true dual threat, what you call a dual threat quarterback. Bobo Hodges, mentioned for Mid-State Player of the Year. I think possibility certainly. I don't know who's going to beat that guy out, but he hurt us running the ball, getting to the edges too. So he really hurt us both ways. Now, and I think if you're Tullahoma, you try to shut down the run first, like we did Friday night, and keep Hodges in the pocket. So I think it would be well if Coach Olive and that defensive staff can maybe adopt what Alabama does against those dual threat quarterbacks, is take your defensive ends, don't rush them past the quarterback, just get equal to, and then when the guy takes off running, collapse on him with Matt Ross and Ty Cox. I think that's going to be our best shot. Make him throw from the pocket, and I think that gives Tullahoma their best chance defensively. I just don't know how we're going to get the offensive points on the scoreboard and get that going. That would be my bigger concern. I think Tullahoma's defense can hang with them if they can slow down Hodges. He's got that great weapon, Kendrell Scurry out there, number 2, which is a mismatch nightmare, 6'3", a big physical guy that is rumored to be going to play for the Auburn Tigers, and that's big-time football.
Well, and looking at Tullahoma's offensive stats from the Maplewood game, we had net 3 yards rushing on the night. So it's going to be about that passing game. I wouldn't be surprised to see, and I'm not giving away any secrets here. It's not like any coaches have told me anything. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Tullahoma spread it out a lot and try to get that quick, short-range passing game going. I don't see Tullahoma, even if Bryson is able to go, and hopefully he will be, just couldn't get that running game going against that Maplewood defense. Those defensive linemen and linebackers are really good. Yeah,
that's a good, and they're strong on all 3 phases. Their secondary's athletic. They match up. They play a lot of man-to-man with you. And as you said, that front 7 is very physical and imposing. The best defense that we've seen all season. The best quarterback we've seen all season. So we're going to have to beat the best defensive quarterback that we've seen all year long on the road and put it all together. This is the game where you empty the playbook. This is the game where you pull out all stops. This is the game that guys that are maybe lesser known come up and make big plays. And we've seen Hunter Palmer come on, number 6, making play after play after play. That Tullahoma's going to need a great defensive effort. Ty Cox is going to have to lead the charge. The secondary is going to have to get some turnovers. But the number one formula is cut the penalties down. I think the last time we was there, Scott, 31 penalties in that game. I don't know how many by each team, but too many by both teams. I hope we don't see a game like that Friday night.
Well, it was 13 penalties for Tullahoma, 18 penalties for Maplewood. We were in the press box with their coaches. If you listened or watched the replay, you know we're going to be in the press box with their coaches again. But no, 13 penalties to me Friday night would kill any chance Tullahoma has to beat Maplewood. The Wildcats have got to play one of those. They got to play their best game of the year to win this. That's the bottom line. Tullahoma's got to play their best game of the year to win it. And they need players to step up maybe who aren't a big part of the game plan. Guys like Sam Brock, who came in at the end of the game Friday night, intercepted the pass, closed any chance Marshall County had of coming back. They need guys like that to step up and have the game of their life.
I thought Peyton Howard played his best game. You know, he did get isolated, matched up on the running back on that one pass play. He got torched down on the sidelines, but I don't. Not very many people can handle a running back for the linebacker position running down the sidelines on a wheel route. But he had some big tackles in that game, and Matt Ross, I thought, had some big tackles. You mentioned Sam Brock. You know, almost similar to the last game that we played them in the regular season when Mr. Caleb Stroop had the game-saving interception at the end, and number 4, Sam Brock, comes through with it this time. We was wondering who's going to make the play, and he did.
And it's good that you mentioned Peyton Howard, because Peyton Howard's another guy who's been a little overshadowed by Ty Cox and Matt Ross and Samari Lane a little bit, but Peyton Howard just comes to play every week, puts on his hard hat, makes big tackles, makes big stops. That Tullahoma defense, that's what's going to win it. No turnovers.
Yep.
Very few penalties. And defense playing the game of their life. That's the winning formula for the Wildcats.
Well, I like that game plan. You said get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quick, get it to the playmakers in space, and neutralize that pass rush and their blitz and keep those guys off Ben Fulton, because Ben got beat, quite frankly, to a pulp physically in that game. They threw him around, slung him all over that field. But Ben Fulton, let's talk about his stats real quick while we're still on Tullahoma. He had a fantastic game. 11 for 14, 169 yards. That ain't bad. 2 touchdowns.
That ain't bad at all. The last time Tullahoma was in the quarterfinals of the state football playoffs was 2010. The Wildcats finished 9-4 on the year. They beat White County in the first round, beat Lawrence County in the second round. We went to Columbia, lost that game 31-14. Before 2010, it was all the way back to 1987 when the Wildcats made it to the semifinals. The best team in Tullahoma history finished 12-2 in 1987, beat Lebanon in the first round, Cleveland in the second round, Knoxville Central in the third round, lost to Jefferson County in the semifinals, playing for a trip to, at the time, it was Murfreesboro. And then 1979, Tullahoma goes 10-3, beat Riverdale in the first round, Cleveland in the second round, lost to Oak Ridge 31-6. It's only the 4th time since 1969 when the playoffs started, so only the 4th time in school history that Tullahoma's been to the third round of the playoffs. That's a huge accomplishment for a team that 2 years ago couldn't win a game.
Yeah, it's incredible. That 79 team, you know, I mean, that's the year I started high school. I remember big sophomore at the time, big John Bear. I had a civics class with him, or a class with Milner Carden, but that boy was a big monster, 6'1", being recruited at that time by Virginia Tech. He hurt his knee, I believe, the junior year and had an ACL, but that guy was a monster. That 79 team, very good. And the 87 playoff team that went 12-2, that won 3 playoff games, I went to all those games and saw them in person. That was the team with Steve Matthews, Maurice Shaw, Antonio London and company. And, man, what a great team that was. They lost to Jefferson County that year. Jefferson County won the state, beat Gallatin. They had the USA Today #1 player in the nation, linebacker, tight end Todd Collins, who later played for the New England Patriots on that team.
Yep. Good times.
Yep.
Good times. Tullahoma's got a chance to do it again. Win Friday night at Maplewood. The Wildcats would be home for the semifinals of the state playoffs. And we'll go through the brackets real quick and talk about who were the big winners Friday night. There were a couple of really big surprises, and there's a couple of really intriguing high school games coming up Friday night. So stick around for that on the other side. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, we're live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We're the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Builder Supply in Tullahoma is your one-stop for all the building materials you need for your next project. Their paint center has a full line of Benjamin Moore paints to brighten any room. Trust the experts, Bubba, Joe, and the gang at Builder Supply, 301 South Atlantic Street, Tullahoma.
Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs is the place to go when you're hungry for good country cooking. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Friday nights, 4 to 7:30, with Friday night trivia starting at 6:15. Breakfast is served all day, every day at Sample Family Restaurant in Estill Springs.
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
So you heard the forecast. You know, it's going to be cold, wet, could be a little snow, at least could be around freezing. You folks that went to Maplewood a couple of weeks ago, you know what that stadium's like. It's Long John time for us in the press box. We know it is for you sitting out in the stands. But, again, 4 times since 1969. So this doesn't come around very often.
About like Haley's Comet, man.
Yeah, let's all just suck it up and let's storm up there to Maplewood High School and see if we can't bring home a win for the Wildcats. So, looking at the playoffs, only 8 teams left in each classification. In Class 1A, I think you got a couple of really intriguing matchups. I really like undefeated Whitwell and once beaten South Pittsburgh. South Pittsburgh's sort of back where they belong. This is tradition for South Pittsburgh, for the Pirates to march through the playoffs. Vic Grider back at the helm now in South Pittsburgh. I think that's really interesting mountain matchup there between Whitwell and South Pittsburgh. And then down in our area, we got the game that we've been pointing to since halfway through the season. That is 12-0 Cornersville and 12-0 Huntington. Now the Bulldogs have got to travel to Huntington, so I'm going to pick Huntington to beat Cornersville and knock them off. I don't think Cornersville is going to play for a state title this year. I think it's going to be Greenback and Huntington. But
it's going to be a great game.
Great test for Cornersville Friday night in Class 1A. In Class 2A, really no teams from around here, but just keep an eye on that team I told you about, Union City. They went into the playoffs 4-6. They've won their first 2 games. They're getting ready to face Peabody. I think Union City is going to advance, and they're going to host a semifinal game. And I think they're going to get back to the state championship. They've won multiple titles there, the Tornadoes. And Meigs County still undefeated in 2A. In Class 3A, we had the biggest upset of Friday night. Really just a phenomenal upset. Stratford went into the playoffs with a 2-8 record. Okay, they won their first game over a good Camden team, 29-22. And then they beat the favorite, really, in the bottom half of the bracket in Class 3A. The favorite for a lot of the season has been Pearl Cone. Yeah, and Stratford knocked off Pearl Cone 32-27. So Stratford will head to Williamson County and play Fairview in Quad 3 in the quarterfinal there.
Yeah, we have been projecting the Firebirds on the show last week. We picked the Firebirds against the Alcoa Tornado,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. So congratulations
happen.
To the Stratford Spartans. If you remember, they wear orange and black, a lot like South Pittsburgh does. Best game may be in Quad 1, though. Austin East goes in there to Alcoa. That'll probably be a 40-point win for Alcoa. In Class 4A, all our eyes are on Tullahoma and Maplewood, but in Quad 1, you've got two undefeated teams, Greenville and Anderson County, both 12-0, squaring off against each other. I'll take Greenville by 20. They're just that good. But the winner of the Greenville-Anderson County game is going to play the winner of the Tullahoma-Maplewood game. Whether Tullahoma or Maplewood wins, it's going to be here in Middle Tennessee. So that's exciting. In Class 5A.
So if Tullahoma wins, they're going to host a 13-0 team at home. That's amazing.
They absolutely are. That's phenomenal. And could be just, can you imagine?
Yeah,
won't that be awesome?
I don't know what the attendance record is at Wilkins Stadium, but I would dare say if that was to happen, we would break any attendance record that would be shattered next Friday night if we can get past Maplewood.
Not so fast, my friend.
Oh, okay. Lee Corso here.
There have been multiple coffee pot games where there have been 6,000 to 7,000 people there. That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
The night after Thanksgiving with a team coming 4 or 5 hours away. So, but it will be a great crowd, no question about it. In Class 5A, congratulations to former Tullahoma football players and coaches. Knoxville Catholic upsets defending champion Knoxville Fulton 28-25. And who does Steve Matthews and the Fighting Irish square off against? His old head coach from that 1987 Tullahoma team, the best team in Tullahoma history, Joe Gaddis and the Oak Ridge Wildcats. They beat Soddy Daisy 40-23. Oak Ridge, Knoxville Catholic. We've been waiting for this ever since Steve went up there. And Catholic moved to 5A. Oak Ridge and Catholic in Oak Ridge for a chance to go to the semifinals. That's pretty cool.
Can student beat teacher right here? We know it happened with the the Titans against the Patriots. Maybe lightning strikes twice right there. So
it did. And I think the winner of that game is going to be, I believe, the favorite to play for state championship in Class 5A. In Class 6A, sort of a surprise, even though they were undefeated. Mount Juliet's just been awesome for the last couple of years. They just pitched shutout after shutout after shutout, but they just couldn't get past Region 3, Rutherford County. But the Golden Bears did it Friday night. They beat Blackman 35-14. Oakland has to go to Mount Juliet and play there. I think that's one to sort of keep an eye on. I believe the two best teams are going to end up Oakland and Maryville, but Maryville's going to have their hands full with Farragut. The top half of that 6A bracket, man, that is powerhouse city. And then you got undefeated Germantown down at the bottom, but I really believe when the bottom half of that bracket gets to the state championship, the top half of that bracket is going to win it.
Yeah. Put a star on that Mount Juliet Oakland game. It could be an upset right
Ronald Acuna Jr., Atlanta Braves, named just a little while ago the National League Rookie of the Year. A nice little cap off to an outstanding division-winning season by the Braves.
Yeah, and I got to give props to our boy, from Tellum Awards and Gift, Brian Balkersell. He projected way back before the season started. I said, who's going to be the Rookie of the Year in the National League? And he said it was going to be this guy right here, and had me buy a couple of his rookie cards. So I did, and hey, they're doing well, man. That guy had an unbelievable season this year, and he's a great player.
You know, Smash sort of saw that coming as well. Smash called that guy out before he even played a game for the Braves. That Ronald Acuna Jr. was an exceptional talent, and he is. He absolutely is. So there's our wrap-up of high school football. High school basketball starts in a week. Junior college basketball going on. The Motlow Bucks, not the best road trip in school history. They went to Georgia over the weekend, lost to Pear, lost to Georgia Highlands on Friday, lost in overtime to USC Salkehatchie on Saturday. Motlow out of the gate 1-3. Young team rebuilding, just takes a little while.
It takes time for that chemistry to gel. First and second year players. It's not a 3 and 4 year college, so it takes some time for these guys to develop camaraderie, chemistry, and just learning each other on the court.
Lady Bucks, on the other hand, pretty good start. They beat Central Georgia Tech Thursday night. They'll host Martin Methodist tomorrow night at Copperweld Arena, but then Friday night conference play opens for the Bucks and Lady Bucks. They host Jackson State. Men's game at 5:30, women's game at 7:30, and frankly, it's still up in the air whether the old AD is going to be required to be at Motlow on Friday.
Oh, boy.
How would you like to go to Maplewood and run a solo show, partner?
Oh, boy.
I think we can get somebody to fill those shoes.
Oh, look here.
Yeah, Smash going to run the camera and do a little announcing for you. But no, it's looking good for me to go to Nashville on Friday. But if you're not able to go and you want to see some basketball, Motlow will be at home Friday night against Jackson State. So, Ken, let's switch gears in mid-segment here because we can and we will. The Tennessee Volunteers look like a real SEC football team Saturday afternoon. They didn't just flukily beat the 11th ranked team in the nation. They dismantled and they soundly beat the 11th ranked team in the nation. They were in control from start to finish. In the last 10 years before Jeremy Pruitt arrived, Tennessee went 5-40 against ranked teams. That's the Butch Jones era, the Derek Dooley era, the Lane Kiffin era. 5-40. Coach Pruitt, not too bad. He's 2-3 this year.
Yeah, that's a great stat right there. I was listening to that song on the way over here. I've got it on my phone, on my music, November Rain by Guns N' Roses. It talks about that cold November rain. Hey, Tennessee rains in November. They played 474 games in the month of November. They've won 324 of them. Not so much 12-20 under Derek Dooley and Butch Jones. Your boy Jeremy Pruitt 2-0. How about that?
2-0 in November.
2-0 in November, and now it wasn't too long ago. I predicted. I know I switched last week, but I projected Tennessee to win out and go 4-0 in November. They're halfway there. And they do it, we'll see.
But you did what last week?
I caved into the media. They look so bad.
So bad. Ken, you're
the week before, man. I just don't get it.
You're a college football guru.
Yeah.
How did Tennessee do what they did Saturday?
They was looking ahead. I think they might have been game planning for Kentucky in the last game they played. Don't sell Jeremy Pruitt short, but, Darrell Taylor, phenomenal. He has 4 sacks. Tennessee has 9 tackles for loss. And, I said last week that Tennessee could not run the ball near as good as Kentucky. That big running back they have, guess what happens? Tennessee outrushes them 211 yards to 77 yards, and they hold that big stud Kentucky running back to much of nothing. They block another field goal. And does anybody get more Hail Mary touchdowns than the Tennessee Vols? I tell you what, man, you better, if you're within a one-score game against them at the end and they're inside the 50-yard line, they throw a Hail Mary up on you, you better watch out because they're dangerous on them things, man.
And in listening to Jeremy Pruitt, he talked about how the Vols were just going to run out the clock at the end of the first half. That was the plan. And then they hit a quick little play to Chandler, I think for about 15 yards, and Pruitt told Tyson Helton, let's go ahead and try it. And Jarrett Garantano, he got hit on his arm just as he's getting ready to release the ball, was fortunate to even hang on to the ball, stepped up in the pocket a couple of steps, and slung it to the back of the end zone. And when you watch that replay, Juwan Jennings was going up, and he had his eye on the ball, and he had it right there. And Marquez Callaway just comes out of nowhere in front of him and catches that ball. And then a Kentucky defender just starts waylaying on Juwan Jennings. Officials standing right there watching, no call or anything.
And Scott's on Twitter saying, "Man, how did this happen?" He's getting beat to a pulp down in the end zone under the goalpost.
He was, and the referee was standing right there. But that play really turned the table. Turned that 10-0 lead to 17-0 at halftime. And I'm texting with all my volunteer fans and everything. And usually we're really cautious because you don't want to jinx it because Tennessee is just so uneven. But everybody was just like, man, we're beating this team today.
Yeah, and what Tennessee did, they stopped Benny Snell. They made Kentucky one-dimensional. The Kentucky quarterback can't throw the football, folks, and that's not been a mystery all season. Jeremy Pruitt and that defensive coordinator saw that on tape. They're not going to throw the ball. We stop it. We got this game won. They stopped the run, Benny Snell first, and then that tried to kept the quarterback in the pocket, put the heat on him, created turnovers, 9 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. There's only 3 players in Tennessee history that's had a 4-sack ball game. Okay, the other 2 besides Darrell Taylor, do you know who they are?
Well, I'm going to guess Reggie White.
Bingo, ding, ding, ding.
And
you got that one.
I'm going to guess, and it's probably too easy, but I'll guess Derek Barnett because I did not see the list.
That was a good guess. Corey Miller. Big defensive tackle out of I think South Carolina had a 4-sack game, but now so Jeremy Pruitt is the first Tennessee coach is the first Tennessee coach since Bill Battle and Phil Fulmer to beat 2 top 25 teams in his first season. Think about that one.
That's strong.
Pretty good, yeah.
So on the other side, we'll talk about where the Vols go from here. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live at London's. It's the Shasteen Show, 93.9 The Duck.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month? What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
Get the gig. Get the world's fastest internet with LightTube. That's 1 gig down, 1 gig up internet speeds for only $89.95 per month. Call LightTube today to upgrade and get the gig. Call us at 455-4515 to learn more. LightTube. Local people, local service.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Well, it's the sorry New York Giants against some other average team on Monday Night Football tonight. But next week, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, wow. And, I saw the Rams lost one of their big receivers today, over the weekend, Cooper Kupp, torn ACL. So one of the weapons there for the Ram quarterback gone.
So the Vols relish in their, pardon me, in their victory over Kentucky, as they should. Tennessee now in excellent shape to make a bowl game, in excellent shape to finish 500 on the season or better. But what have you done for me lately, as we like to say? That was great. We enjoyed that Saturday and Sunday and for a few minutes today, actually. But now a bigger test comes up, because even though Kentucky was ranked 11th in the country and Missouri is just a 6-5 football team, Tennessee's a 7-point underdog to the Missouri Tigers heading in to Saturday. We're not going to pick it yet, but Missouri offers a different kind of opponent.
Yeah.
They're a little bit one-dimensional the other way. It's going to be a big, big test for Tennessee's young secondary.
Yeah, I think a much balanced offense, much better balanced offense. But, hey, Tennessee's going to be stoked up, ready to go. Derek Dooley, the offensive coordinator for Missouri. Missouri's going to come in fired up. They do got an NFL quarterback, Drew Lock. So, yeah, he does present a different animal for that Tennessee defense. But on the other side of that, Missouri's defense is not as good as Kentucky's defense. We do not believe, but we'll see. But I will say this, Missouri's defense is very physical. They do have a decent running game. They play physical. Tennessee's going to have to be ready. But you know what? It seems like Tennessee plays their best football when they're underdogs. Underdog at Auburn by double digits, 18 points. They win that game. Underdog against Kentucky at home, 3 points. I said something's wrong here. We looked at that line. I said it should be more than 3. Hey, those Vegas guys know every time. 7 points, Missouri. They've had success against Tennessee the last couple of years, but, Tennessee's got a mulligan to play with here these last 2 weeks.
We're live at London's on a Monday night, as the Shasteen Show always is, from 6 to 7. London's is hopping tonight. A lot of folks here enjoying this great steak dinner and this cold beer. Tennessee, it's funny to me that you said they play their best football when they're underdogs. They're always underdogs.
Yeah, well,
they've been underdogs in just about every game this year. Didn't especially play great against Alabama and Florida and Georgia, but did play well against Kentucky. But, this Missouri game is the key. I really like Tennessee's chances against Vanderbilt. I think the Vols have a really good shot to go to Nashville and beat Vanderbilt. But it's this one this weekend that Tennessee really needs, Ken. A young team like this and a young coach, you're going to have these ups and downs, these roller coasters. Yeah. Everybody's on a high right now. But at some point, you've got to begin to sustain what you've done. You got to begin to have a little bit of consistency, and that's that opportunity this week. If Tennessee can beat Missouri this week, they don't have to beat them like they beat Kentucky and sort of control the game. I don't care if it's that last play, 60-yard bomb that Juwan Jennings jumps in front of Marquez Callaway and catches. If Tennessee can somehow find a way to win this one, clinch that bowl game, go into Vanderbilt with those 2 wins behind their back, then I think, some of these recruits who might be sort of on the borderline, I think it could turn a couple of heads.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, and I guess, they are an underdog every game virtually, pretty much. But I guess they play their best when everybody counts them out and says they're done, because that 14-3 Charlotte game gave nobody hope. It's like, which of these 3 teams are they going to beat, between Kentucky, Missouri, and Vanderbilt? Everyone got a good glimpse of their final 2 opponents. Missouri beat Vanderbilt 33-28. Both teams moved the ball. Both defenses can be moved on. I don't know. I think both games are going to be difficult. Tennessee could win both of those games. But they sure didn't look like they was going to do that against Charlotte. But what you said about the recruiting, they had an unexpected visitor, an unofficial visit, another 5-star running back, Quavarius Couch last week. This week, John Emery, the Georgia Bulldog decommitment from the state of Louisiana. He's still an LSU lean, but for Tennessee to even get him on campus, he's the number 2 ranked running back in the nation. To me, that's unbelievable with Tennessee going into that game 4-5. Jeremy Pruitt's a recruiter. He's getting guys to visit, and if you're going to sign them, you got to get them on campus first, and he's at least doing that.
You got to get them on campus, and yes, all SEC schools have fine facilities, but Tennessee's is right up there with anybody. And you get them on campus, you get them in Neyland Stadium on a winning Saturday, and it has an influence. That's why you get them there.
Yeah,
if it didn't matter, then you wouldn't try to get them there, but it does matter.
It helps when you win, and so that's why that game was so critical for Tennessee. 5-5 is a whole lot better than 4-6. Now they're not forced to win their final 2 games. As I said earlier, they essentially have a mulligan. I know Jeremy Pruitt's coaching them to win both games. Tennessee fans want them to win both, but 6-6 and going to a bowl game, that's the thing, because you're going to get 15 extra bowl practices, and he needs that for this young team. That's a big key. That's as big as going to the bowl game as far as I'm
that's
concerned.
critical. And we'll pick this game at the end of the program, but there's other college football that happened on Saturday. Alabama and Mississippi State squared off, and I watched one play.
Yeah.
Alabama just does what Alabama does.
Yeah, they came out in the first quarter, and it was run. Mississippi State had their ears pinned back. Alabama came out and made a statement with their running game. Josh Jacobs ran fast and furious. Alabama controlled the clock in the first half, built up a 21-0 lead. But in that second half, I thought Alabama, instead of running the clock, letting the air out a little bit, Tua's knee still not healthy. Mississippi State got some really good headshots on Tua's kneecap, tried to knock him out of the game. Alabama's left guard went out of the game. Deontay Brown, his replacement, Lester Cotton, not nearly as effective. They started getting some inside rush and push with that big defensive line, and Tua did not finish the game. He came out. Mac Jones came in. Jalen Hurts, still not healthy, walking gingerly after that ankle surgery. Suddenly, Alabama's one hit away on their quarterback from playing a third stringer for the SEC championship. So I know that that's going to be a concern going forward for Alabama fans, no doubt about it.
And I would still pick Alabama, even with a third-string quarterback. I'm still picking Alabama to win the SEC championship game. Oh, by the way.
Well, they'll be favored. And we'll see, they'll be playing the Georgia Bulldogs. Solid performance. Georgia beats Auburn 27-10. I believe that DeAndre Swift, number 7, the sophomore running back for Georgia, is the best running back in the nation, and it's not even close. That guy's a mismatch nightmare. They're explosive in the kicking game with McCauley, Hardeman, and company. They've got playmakers all over the field. This Georgia defense is improving. That is going to set up a great SEC championship in just a few weeks.
And when you got a backup running back like Holyfield to come in, he's just he's a bruiser. I mean, he's the real deal son. So I mean,
you talk about a 1-2 punch, and they showed some highlights of him being trained by his dad, Evander, world champion, multi-time over world champion boxer in the heavyweight division. Then watching him train his son, and you can see where he gets his willpower and his determination and his tenacity from. And that guy's hard to stop too, man. Just great second effort runs. That big offensive line for Georgia, they can beat anybody in the country. I could see Georgia playing Clemson for the national championship if Tua is not totally healthy, and that's going to be my prediction. I'm keeping a close eye on that. If Tua is healthy, Alabama's going to get there against Clemson. If not, it's going to be Georgia Bulldogs against Clemson.
So Auburn, I mean, Auburn's just withering away. Did you catch the video clip of Gus Malzahn walking down the sidelines? It's very easy to read his lips. There was no mistaking what he said. I hope they don't fire me. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, pretty telling right there, no doubt about it. But they're probably going to lose another game, and they're going backwards. But they just signed him for $49 million. So a lot of these $49 million coaches are gone. Bobby Petrino fired out the door. They bought him out. A big buyout. So you're seeing that trend take place at these major programs because they want instant gratification. That seems to be the world we live in, and I don't think it's going to stop with Petrino. There's going to be some other high-profile guys gone too before the season's over.
Never fails. Any other SEC games stand out to you from Saturday?
Let's see. SEC games. No, not really, other than Florida had a good comeback. They were looking porous against South Carolina. Still hung over. That one surprised me. We both picked South Carolina to win that game. Muschamp chokes away a big lead. And what about Felipe Franks calling out the Florida fans? He scores the go-ahead touchdown and gives the quiet sign to his own fans, not the visiting fans, his own fans. Hey, guys, lay off me on Twitter. We got the win. Enough's enough. I got some Florida buddies that do not like Felipe Franks' game, but, it is what it is.
Hadn't the SEC East, though, it is who we thought it was, right? In the end, it is what we thought it was. It's Georgia and a bunch of other teams that are really pretty close.
Yeah.
They're really pretty close.
And Georgia, we knew they're definitely the class of that division. And until these other teams sign multiple five-star guys, that's not going to change, like you said on last week's show.
I don't know how Ken's going to find any interesting games for us to pick for this week other than one, but we'll do that when we come back. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma. Live from London's, it's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Trucks, and more trucks. Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have your next truck. From the Ford F-Series, the Ram, Chevrolet, or the GMC, then look no further than the Russell Barnett family. With over 350 new and pre-owned trucks to choose from, now is the time to buy. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, Ford of Winchester, and Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma, or visit us on the web at russellbarnett.com. Why buy anywhere else?
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
And we welcome you back to London's on this Monday night as we wind our way toward the finish line. This edition of The Shasteen Show. Shout out to the Predators, still the best team in hockey right now, 13-3, 26 points for the Predators. Ken, they just keep rolling.
Yeah, and I heard that the win they had the other night, I didn't see it. They said PK Subban was partying like they had just won the Stanley Cup after a regular season win. But, hey, that's good that they're having that energy and enthusiasm this early in the season. Just don't want them to peak out. Be your strongest during playoff time, Fred.
I'll tell you what's also good is the Los Angeles Lakers are now over the 500 mark for the first time this year at 7-6. You think the Warriors are looking in the rearview mirror at the Lakers?
Are they shaking their boots?
Trembling just a little?
And we got this conversation generated in the break. I look up there at the ticker on ESPN, and LeBron's quoted as saying, "I almost cracked early in the season." I said, "Man, what's he cracking about?" So the Lakers get off to a slow start. Now they're over 500. So they're just the chemistry. It takes time to develop that, and I think they had those kind of problems when he went back to the Cavaliers initially. Early season chemistry, I said, they're not going to be back in the finals. Lo and behold, they got there. I don't know if they can beat out the Golden State or not, but I tell you what, if I'm a Celtics fan, and I'm kind of worried about what the 76ers did over the weekend, picking up Jimmy Butler.
Top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, so with the 76ers. So, I mean, that's going to get that rivalry going again, man. The NBA was great when the 76ers, Lakers, and Celtics were all good, man. Now we just need the Phoenix Suns to join the party.
Chuck's not coming through that door.
No.
The other surprise team in the NBA, and everybody knew when LeBron James was traded to the Lakers that the Lakers were going to be better, obviously. Yeah. They're going to win 45, 50 games. They've got the best player in the world. Name a player on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Memphis Grizzlies, the Crickets.
Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are 7-4 and tied for the Southwest Division lead with the Spurs.
Unreal.
The Grizz. getting it done in the Bluff City.
How about that?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I think they used to have the big, was it the Randolph guy?
Yeah, big Zach Randolph.
He's not
former
on their team
Memphis
anymore.
Grizzly. No. Jerry
That's
West,
how much I know about Memphis.
Jerry West used to be their director of player personnel as well. So that's when the Grizzlies were good, because every team that Jerry West works for becomes good.
Yeah, he's great.
The Tennessee Titans in 2 weeks have looked like, said at the beginning of the show that Tennessee Volunteers actually looked like a real SEC football team Saturday in their win over Kentucky. The Tennessee Titans look like a contending NFL football team in their win yesterday over the New England Patriots in Nissan Stadium. This is back-to-back wins for the Titans. First over the Cowboys in Jerry Dome, then over the Patriots at Nissan.
Yeah.
Titans seem like they're sort of getting it together.
And don't forget the win they had over the world champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but they didn't fell apart after that one.
Yeah, so they got to win over the world champions and America's team.
And
the AFC champions. Yeah,
the GOAT.
And made Brady, and I know he did not have Gronk, okay, so – But
they don't have Gronk for half their game.
They didn't have Gronk, and they put the pressure on Tom Brady. They got some good hits on Tom Brady, and he wasn't even at the end of the game. He tapped out. Didn't want to be in there. Got pulled at 34-10. Belichick pulled him out. No need to risk injury, but he was in risk of being injured the way that pass rush was getting after him yesterday. No doubt about it.
I don't remember a game where Tom Brady threw as many errant passes, no receiver even close. He's ducking, he's getting out of the way. I mean, they had Tom Brady on the run.
Well, the Titans secondary did a good job matching up one-on-one coverage, especially the cornerbacks, just tight man-to-man. Edelman didn't have a big game, but what you got to do with the Patriots is you got to shut the run game down first. Rookie of the Year candidate Sony Michel coming back from injury, had been out 3 weeks with a knee injury. He came back. Did not a whole lot. And then James White out of the backfield, man, he's a weapon, catching that ball, number 28. I think he had about 40 total yards. So you shut those two guys down, take Gronk out, and kind of handle Edelman pretty good. That's a recipe for a 34-10 whooping, and that's what the Titans put on the Patriots yesterday. Marcus Mariota looked really good too.
And two things are really happening for the Titans right now. First of all, Marcus Mariota seems to be healthy. The finger issues, the tingling seems to be gone. He's taking that glove off. He looked like a different quarterback yesterday. He's making quick decisions. He's not doubting himself. Takes that snap, drops back, and fires that football. But a big key for the Titans is Corey Davis, man. That dude is really starting to step up. I mean, we've dogged him ever since they drafted him. That was such a high pick to pick a receiver that a lot of us had never even heard of. But Corey Davis is really starting to play big time. Titans still aren't that impressive running the football. But Deion Lewis, he's Tennessee's #1 back now. I know Derrick Henry wanted to be a feature back in the NFL. I got a feeling unless something changes, he's going to have to go somewhere else to do that, because Deion Lewis is their guy.
He looked fantastic down on the goal line yesterday. They ran him out of the shotgun, went untouched, had 2 touchdowns in the game, and actually Henry outrushed the entire Patriots running back. So, but they need both those guys to do good. You got that change of pace, scat back that can catch the ball in the backfield. You got a bruiser inside the 10-yard line that can knock people over. Give him the ball. That's what they should have done on that in London, and they would have won that game if they had gave it to Henry from the 1-yard line. But guess what? That's history. Look what they've done the last few weeks. I project them at 9-7 in the playoffs, not to win the division, but to get in as a wild card. I think that's back on the table. I don't know if this team can beat out the Houston Texans in the division, because Deshaun Watson, I think, is playing at such an elite level. But Mariota's coming on, and the Titans are playing good football right now.
And watch the Indianapolis Colts. They've won 3 games in a row. They're just a game behind the Titans. I think Jacksonville's, I don't know what happened down there, but they're fading fast. But the Colts, the Titans, and the Texans, I think it's going to be an outstanding race here the second half of the season heading
I think so.
for the finish line. And I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 of those 3 teams don't make the playoff.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, just in a few weeks, if the Titans and the Texans continue to win, I think that's a Monday night matchup here, just only a few weeks down the schedule, the Titans and the Texans. So that would be a great matchup if both teams can stay healthy. Mariota against Deshaun Watson, I think that'd be a great matchup.
So the SEC, not exactly murderer's row this week.
No, I drew a picture of what this week was going to be.
It's a cupcake with a little candle or a cherry or something on top of that. So when the CBS game is a 6-5 team against a 5-5 team, remember the commercial, it's the best game from the best conference. Missouri at Tennessee, the CBS 2:30 game. Says a lot.
It is the best
about
game.
what the rest of the SEC's playing this week. But Ken, you and I both defended the honor of our conference this weekend on Twitter. We don't care what the national idiots say. The SEC deserves a weekend.
Absolutely. They beat each other's brains out. We're week 12 in the season, man. These guys, this is the best conference in football, the SEC in college football. There's no doubt about it. Nobody's even close. And when you're talking about possible conference matchups in these other conferences of a team that's not even 500 or maybe 500 at 6-6 being one of the division winners playing another team, that's ridiculous. You're going to have 2 top 5 teams playing each other in the SEC championship. It's the best conference. I don't care if it's cupcake week this week.
And I don't think it's really close.
Eat the cupcakes.
I mean,
enjoy it.
The ACC, you got Clemson and that's it?
Yeah.
I'd put the same place in the standings, SEC team up against any conference, no doubt. Big Ten's got some good, solid teams. I just don't see any great teams. Michigan, I don't know. We'll see. But, teams like Northwestern and stuff, solid teams in the Big Ten. I don't think the other conferences even have more than 2 or 3 solid teams.
No. And those 2 conferences that you just mentioned, the ACC and the Big Ten, Tennessee gets one more bowl win. That's probably who they're going to play.
Oh, no doubt.
In a game. So Northwestern, one of these ACC teams, Wake Forest, Boston College, that's probably what you're going to see possibly in the Music City Bowl in Nashville. We'll see.
I think Tennessee right now is headed to the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. I think that's going to be their destination.
We've got time to look at that if they get that win, and that's a big point. And I guess that's going to lead us in. We've got just a couple minutes here. Let's pick these cupcake games, shall we?
Let's start with the non-cupcake game.
Yeah, let's start with that one. And so you've got 6-5 Missouri. You said, is that right? 6-5 versus 5-5, which means Missouri's already got their 6 wins, which means I'm picking Tennessee because Missouri's already in. Tennessee's got more to play for, Scott. I'm taking the Vols.
I'm taking the Vols, too, and I know it's probably home cooking in orange-colored glasses, but I really don't care. If Tennessee's defense can play anything like it played Saturday, Tennessee's going to beat Missouri. Now, the Vols, I think, are going to have to score 30 points. I think over and under there for Tennessee to win, they got to score 30 points, and that's been a real challenge. But Missouri's defense is good. They're physical. They're not as good as Kentucky's defense. If Missouri's not at their best, like I believe Kentucky was not at their best, I think Tennessee wins this game. Now, I'm not going to pick on the spread. I don't know. I'll take a 1-point win. That's all we need.
I'm going to say that Tennessee has 2 non-touchdowns, non-offensive touchdowns. They could return a punt or kickoff for a touchdown, and I think they're going to have a pick 6.
Watch Marquell Osborne. He has got a nose for the football. What else we got?
The Citadel travels to the University of Alabama. I say sit Tua. Tua don't take 1 snap this week. Rest him. Get him ready for Auburn. Scott, your thoughts?
42-0.
Tua, yes or no?
42-0.
Would you sit him?
I would sit him, but they won't. He'll play.
All right, Liberty at Auburn.
Are we picking these?
Yeah, well, does any of these got a chance to be an upset? Liberty at Auburn.
No.
UMass at Georgia.
No.
No?
No.
MTSU at Kentucky.
Yes. I think there is a chance for an upset
watch out right there. Rice at LSU.
Kentucky is going to be so down in the mouth.
Yeah.
This is just the kind of thing that MTSU would do, right?
Yep.
What was the next one? I'm going to pick MTSU to upset Kentucky.
Rice at Kentucky.
Rice at who?
Rice at LSU.
No.
Chattanooga at South Carolina.
No.
And UAB at South Carolina.
UAB. Now, they can't both be playing South Carolina.
Chattanooga at South Carolina. Oh, UAB at A&M. I'm sorry, at A&M, College Station.
The Blazers, third year of college football since they started it back. They're 9-1. Unfortunately, they can't go to College Station and beat Texas A&M. But it's quite the story there for UAB and what they've done in football this year.
I agree. AP polls out. Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3, Michigan 4, Georgia 5, Oklahoma 6. Playoff committee announces their standings tomorrow night.
And I think that's exactly where they're going to be, right?
That's where they're going to be, but I've got Georgia at number 3.
Nobody's moving from last
They're
week.
not, but I got Georgia at number 3.
I know you do.
But the committee don't care what I think.
All right, Tullahoma and Maplewood Friday night on the Rooster 101.5. Kickoff 7 o'clock from beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. Here on the Duck, I guess it will be Oakland and Mount Juliet. That should be quite the battle. So you got two great football games Friday night, the Duck and the Rooster. It's okay, just swap back and forth and see how they're all doing. That's going to do it for this edition of the Shasteen Show from London's. For the folks back at the studio and for Smash here on site and Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.